it. You're done.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, that was a good
That
one.
was a good connection.
That was
Yeah.
good connection.
It was a little bit, like when you shit it too hard, you probably...
Yeah. Let's just... Working title, thanks a bunch. Basically, I think, in a nutshell, we kind of just decided that we have free will and we can just do whatever we want with our spare time.
It's this yapping podcast. I think, yeah, I think, I don't know if you agree with me, I think in general, we have a lot of conversations.
Many a
And
conversations.
I'm not saying that you talk a lot, but I'm saying we have a lot of conversations.
We do have a lot of conversations.
Yes.
I said to you before that I think my words are coming out of my mouth more often than they are not coming out of my mouth, unless I'm sleeping. It's about the only exception. So
hence yapping podcast. I mean, we talk a lot about interesting things.
Well, you say interesting things. It depends on what you define as interesting.
It does, yeah.
Because I talk a lot about things that I just see and then find loosely interesting.
Yeah.
And then usually how that ends up going is just I have very vague facts about said thing I find interesting, and then we just divulge into sheer madness discussing like what we think
spiral into random
that
stuff.
means.
Yeah.
Or what that means to us personally.
What we think about things.
Yeah, basically. And it's just like, even though we
Yeah.
can comfortably sit in silence at this point, we very often don't. We just kind of sit and have, like, we'll have the TV on while also being on our phones mutually, whilst also
talking about something else.
having a conversation about something that happened 6 weeks ago.
But if we were sitting in silence, very often one of us will interrupt the silence by saying something completely random that you weren't
Did
expecting.
you know?
By the way, I've just seen this thing, and it would just be the most outrageous thing you've never heard of.
Yeah.
So why not record it? I guess.
For fun, basically.
For fun, for creativity, for, I don't know, just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, I feel like it should be said that this isn't really for the sake of other people seeing it and it being
yeah, kind of for us.
Yeah, like we're happy
for
for people to see it. That's the reason we're recording it. Otherwise, it would just be us recording 3 separate angles.
You do the thing where like you change angle and then like all of a sudden you're looking.
Like inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it would just be us randomly recording something really high effort bit just to live in the archives of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not so much that this is for the sake of people seeing it and, you know, garnering an audience per se, more just for our own creative endeavour.
Oh, actually though, not to interrupt you, I feel like it probably should be said that if we're a source of information, but we're not the experts on any source of information. So like we'll talk about some stuff today, and like I'm looking forward to, because I know
You're giving us you're giving a disclaimer.
Yes, disclaimer. But yeah, I feel like it should be said if you're after an expert view on anything in particular, probably not. This probably isn't the place for it.
Or just do your own research. When we sort of discussed the idea of deciding to do this sort of like podcast kind of thing, basically just recording us discussing ideas, we were like, okay, well, what things are actually interesting to us? Because obviously, normally, if we have a conversation about something, it just is an in the moment thing. You know, you're sat there having a brew.
Having a brew. Damn. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Having a brew, and then, you know, you'd be like, oh, well, did you know that this. Like, but, you know, if you're putting in the effort to set all of this up, you can't really be like, well, we'll just riff, see what comes.
See where it takes us.
See where it takes us. Sit on our phones for like 17 minutes.
Until something comes up.
Up.
Hit record.
Yeah,
quick.
like that just doesn't really work. So, you know, we kind of got together a bit of a, like, loosely got together a list of, like, things that we thought were interesting to talk about.
Some things that we cool to talk about. Yeah.
And individually, we made the decision that we would take a concept or, like, idea that we came up with. Some of them were a bit more, like, in-depth, and some things were a bit, like, more ridiculous or silly.
Yeah.
I feel like the things that we did choose kind of are that borderline, like, right in the middle. But I
feel like it's a good place to be
Yeah.
Like it's interesting and it's like a genuine thing. Like
It's not anything too serious. We're not talking about, we're not getting political sort of thing.
Maybe
not talking about shower heads for an hour.
That could be cool.
We could write that down.
Right, write that down. No, I feel like it's kind of interesting to almost bridge that gap perfectly between like something that maybe on the surface seems silly or like would be interesting, but I don't know. I think that's kind of it, isn't it? Kind of something that you find interesting, but maybe it's not something you question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
But then I guess kind of we're taking that thing and actually being like, what if we were to think seriously about this? Like, why is this thing like this?
Yeah.
Or like, how is this happening? Blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a good point to hit for things to talk about, isn't it?
And like, we kind of decided between us that we wanted to have a topic each. Like, I know the topic that you want to talk about, but I know nothing about that topic really. I might loosely know something, let's say, but you've done your research and formatted it however you want. Is there any more you want to say before we segue on to
I don't know.
What I'm going to talk to you about today?
No, I think yeah. Tell me where you're at. Tell me what you're.
Well, topic for today.
Class.
Is your learning objective. Write this down.
Oh God.
Is where did the indie cursive voice originate, and why is it so well known?
Yes, a very interesting.
Would you like to give us a demonstration of the indie cursive voice?
No, I think you would do a great demonstration. But yeah, I mean, I guess for those who don't know, I don't really know how to kind of summarize this, but I think it'd be interesting because
you don't.
You know,
I've done a lot of research,
and I don't. But to my understanding, it's the indie cursive is almost an accent or way of pronouncing certain words or phrases or something that. Again, I can't describe, but like it gained popularity clearly, and
it's basically kind of a meme.
Yeah, it's kind of memed on, isn't it? Of like silly or like typical or like people take it over the top as a joke, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's kind of all I really know. I don't really know.
Would you like me to give you sort of a definition from what I found, like a definition of what kind of
for sure
highlights the indie cursive voice, or like it is also known as kind of the indie. For whatever reason, known kind of loosely as the indie girl voice. It's kind of made like a resurgence, like via like TikTok and stuff. It's kind of made a resurgence into being called like cursive singing, like the writing style cursive, obviously. But it kind of was initially like just known as like the indie voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of parodies like a vocal fry. Anyone who knows anything about singing will know what that means. It's sort of like characterized by like elongated vowels, like clipped sort of phrasing and consonants, and like run-on phrasing.
Okay.
Which kind of just makes it have like a slurred kind of sound. Is how a lot of people describe it. Like that.
Is that what the fry?
Yar.
Nice.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
So that's the cursive.
Yeah, that's kind of what is.
Got you.
That's kind of what. That's how I would see it. I mean, there are people that can do it way better. In my like research for this whole thing, I could probably play it, but I don't know if the vocal would be if you would hear it very well. Like the audio would be very good. But there's a video that is from 2013 by a YouTuber called Madeline Roberts. You could probably find it. I'll play it and see if you can like hear it through the speakers.
After vowels, like. I won't give up on us.
It's good.
You see what I mean?
It's
like
good.
it's kind of like that loose, that sort of idea. But yeah, essentially like the term like cursive from what I could find dates back to a Twitter post which was from 2009 from, I have to say the user's name because it's a I don't know, it's such a funny to me. No disrespect, but it's funny. Their username was Track Dropper with a A. Good. Not dropper.
No.
Dropper.
Come on, that's good.
It's just A, that's not good. ER.
I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, the actual tweet or like quoting the tweet was voice so smooth it's like I'm singing in cursive, And people think that's the first reference to it being known as cursive singing or like the cursive voice.
Yeah. I don't know if you were going to come onto it, but my question was then, so that's kind of cursive, but what's the difference between that and vocal fry that you mentioned?
When I think of vocal fry, it's like they kind of are close because vocal fry is like a style. It's like an ornamental thing that you can add to singing. I could be wrong, but from my knowledge of it, like Britney Spears, you know, like the oh baby, baby, like the sounds.
Oh, okay, so like
so it's kind of like it's kind of in your throat a little bit more, and like it's sort of. It's not
good impression, by the way.
Thank you. You could use a lot of words to describe it, but that's sort of a very, very good example of fry. But it's also used a lot, like Amy Winehouse uses it, like loosely. I mean, there are definitely people out there that are like way more knowledgeable and could like identify that sound a lot better. My ears are not as well trained as some other people's, but it's basically just a very like indie singing or cursive singing is just a more exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's like using that technique, but very exaggerated to the point that it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would say you could class it as a technique, like a singing technique, but much like everything in music, you can love it or you can hate it. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason it became so popular.
Is it that, like vocal fry is almost maybe more of like the technique of like altering the way like your voice sounds towards that, but then this whole like indie girl whatever cursive singing seems to be more of like the way you pronounce words rather than the way you
they are very similar. Like it's more of just a parody version of it, and obviously it's important to note that like the way that cursive singing has become like a meme, like the way we kind of know it now is even more exaggerated. Very often it's like very specific words within phrases. It's not like the whole song is sung like that. it's like stylistic. But yeah, I would say from like what I have kind of seen from examples, a lot of it relies heavily. I did a lot of research on like felt like I was going back to like phonics or something in school because I was doing a lot of stuff like about consonant sounds and like elongated vowels, but that's kind of like the biggest thing is like a lot of it is to do with the phrasing and the vowels and consonant sounds as opposed to like adding a like distortion in your voice as the sound's coming out. Like elongated vowels, for example, is like how if you have the word ace as opposed to apple, there's an A in both of those, but you say the word differently. So like you say the A, like the ace, and then
apple.
So it's A and A.
Okay.
And so like it's the point that they're elongating, doing a lot more of elongating sounds, which can be useful. Like changing your vowel sound in singing is a big thing anyway, which is why you can justify that cursive singing is just a method of singing. Because like elongating your vowels, like very often you see in, you know, using my own experience of musical theatre, like you see a lot in like theatre performance and stuff, people who are doing these big belty moments will often, they're not going to want to do what's known as almost like a restrictive sound because it's painful to your voice, it's harder, you don't get as much like sound come out, it doesn't project as far, it's a lot harder to like, it's almost like an A and an E sound can sometimes be used semi-interchangeably when you're trying to do something big like that. I could find examples, but I feel like that would be really long-winded, but I'm sure you kind of understand what I'm getting at.
And also, I mean, because it's something I've heard you say quite a few times with like, which I assume is kind of related to this, is how you say like when if something's sang or written to be sang in an American accent or a particular American accent, you say like, oh, singing this in a British accent would be really hard, or vice versa.
It just wouldn't sound right or be awkward. I
assume that's because of the vowel sounds. That seems like the biggest difference.
Well, we had a discussion about this because of, for people that do know, Waitress, the musical. I recently re-listened to the soundtrack and we were having a discussion because you don't know that musical, or didn't know that musical at all.
No.
And I was talking to you about that and like saying how they sing in a Southern American accent. And sometimes, as someone who doesn't naturally have that accent. So therefore, when I sing, I would have to put on that accent. And putting on an American accent, I think, is very, like, not easy, but, like, a lot of people do it. Like, a lot of singers... I do actually touch on this.
Oh, yeah.
In this whole thing. But
kind
a
of
lot of
to sing
people...
with an accent,
Yeah, because it's a lot easier. Like, the sounds and the movements and, like, phrasing and, like, vowel sounds and stuff is a lot easier to sing that way. And, like, British sounds can be a little bit more, like, slurry sounding or too harsh or just not quite right.
Yeah.
So it's just not as common, or, you know, it's not. It's a choice. If you're going to do it, usually it's a choice. But the point that I was making was, yeah, like, that musical, some points in that, the vowel sounds are, like, specific to it being Southern American. So if you were doing that with a British accent, you might struggle if you're using British vowel sounds rather than, like, Southern American vowel sounds, or just even vowel sounds generally. But obviously it's makes sense, like, that's how it's written to be sang, and therefore it's more comfortable in that range, in that sort of area than it would be in if you're trying to force it to be sang differently.
I suppose similarly when you're saying about like belting a note to, because you're singing with such a, like, kind of wide open sound or whatever. I don't know. I can imagine you want a wide open vowel sound rather than a restricted one. I guess that's similar.
Yeah,
to
that's perfect. That's
accent.
that's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, that's a really good way of summarizing it.
Very interesting.
But yeah, so a lot of the vowel sounds in, like, this idea of cursive singing are, like, very elongated rather than, like, stum sounds. And
sorry, I almost forgot we were talking about.
Yeah, yapping.
Yapping podcast.
But yeah, but on the topic of vowels, it's not just about the vowels, but particularly a big thing is clipped or omitted consonants. I don't know if you know what that means.
No.
I can tell you, but I just didn't know if you knew what it meant. So, like, you know, naturally...
I am the audience. Yeah. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, naturally when we speak, like, think about if you were learning another language, very often you learn the full word and it sounds really robotic, and then if you hear someone speak in that language, you're instantly like, whoa, you're thrown off, because a lot of the time, you know, the same thing, like, instead of saying what's up, you might say what's up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, fluidity, like, is a really key part of naturally speaking any language. You know, we're speaking in the same language to, like, back to back, so obviously we're gonna, like, you know, we're gonna speak faster and therefore drop a lot of consonants, drop a lot of sounds.
Like the French. Shout out.
Let's not start.
Shout out French people.
Shout out Paola if you're watching. But yeah, so basically that happens a lot in this style of singing. So, like, clipping sounds, so dropping, like, phrases, not fully finishing a word. You don't get the, you know, the t sounds. You know, like, when, like, sometimes anyone who's done musical theatre, so anyone that's watching this that was on my course with me will know the importance of hitting your T's and, like, your D's at the end of words when you're singing. Maybe indie cursive is for you if you struggle with that, because they don't tend to be that bothered unless it's a specific phrasing that they want to do that. But that also goes on to their habit of run-on phrasing, which is, like, a term that is, like, when a sentence is improperly joined. Well, the official, like, thing is when a sentence that is improperly joined two or more independent clauses, which are complete sentences without proper punctuation.
Got you, yeah.
So, like, basically, if you just start talking and then you don't stop and then you just keep talking into the next thing, like, you know, when people sing and they stop in the middle of a phrase, but it actually goes on to, like, another phrase, it's not a sentence that has a start-end.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like saying, they were here. It's like if you were going, they were here, like... The run-on phrase, do you know what I mean? Like, cutting up a sentence and, like...
I guess having, like, this thing, and this thing, and this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I haven't made examples ahead of time. I don't know if you can tell. I haven't made examples of this. I'm trying to, like, work on the fly here. So, that's probably not a very good example. But...
I get what you mean, though. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, on the point of, like, clipped consonants and stuff like that, they often use a lot more voiceless or, like, sound... Yeah, like, voiceless consonant sounds. So things like, I would show you a video that really helps explain it, but it's this, like, concept of like pre-fortis clipping. I've really gone deep down the rabbit hole. So things like, think about the word loose, as in L-O-O-S-E,
Loose.
and lose.
Mm.
They both have the O-S-E sound, but one word takes less time to say than the other one.
Yeah.
Lose.
Like the kind of...
Because...
Is that elongated vowel sound?
Because the S in lose is more of a Z sound, like a Z, like a Z, like a buzzy B sound. And the
Buzzy bee.
And the S in loose is more of a like a snake sound.
Yeah.
Slippery snake.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Buzzy bee, slippery snake.
And so like the difference is air. So like a sound, to make a sound you need air. You need like what was it, like the
like vibration or?
Well, that's the thing. Basically the only difference, I can't remember the three things now off the top of my head, but the three things that differentiate a voiced and a voiceless sound basically is whether it has vibration or not.
Okay.
So the sort of Z sound in lose is created by our larynx like moving, but it doesn't do that when you say S, like a loose sound. It doesn't do that. It doesn't vibrate.
Yeah.
And the reason that, like, fun little fact for you, the reason that it's the Z like sounds so similar to like a bee's wings, which is why I said buzzy bee.
Very nice.
Is because like I think it's something like a bee's wings flap like 300 times a second or something. Our larynx does like roughly the same thing, which is why they sound similar.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's the vibration that you're hearing, not the bee doesn't make that sound. The bee doesn't have the ability to vocalize a sound.
It's the vibration of
it's the vibration of their wings, which is the same reason why we can make a zzz sound.
That's interesting, and I think it's also funny that if people are listening to this, I hope everyone hearing this just went zzz, 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 out.
Oh, you're taking me back. I remember being in uni classes at like 9 a.m. laying on my yoga mat going zzz, 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 zzz.
Why is that a thing?
I can't remember, but you've just made me think that. So if you haven't done it, you should do it.
Wow.
I think it's to do with, if I remember, it's to do with feeling the difference in like sound in your like abdomen kind of thing, like in your diaphragm.
Kind of a warm up.
I really can't remember now though. Sorry.
I think it's quite a human response to hear someone talking about
a sound.
Like like a sound or like something that you can do but haven't really thought about.
Like, did you know this, guys? You can't lick your elbow.
What? Yeah, like of course you're gonna try. Yeah. So.
But yeah, the reason I say that, I found that really interesting, so I kind of wanted to like explain that a bit more because I didn't really fully understand that.
No.
You can't. There is a video that I watched from a thing called Pronunciation Studio. It's like a website, and it's under the pre-fortis clipping. If you want to watch it, it's like a really good informative way of explaining it, and it's where I got a lot of the facts for it from. Cool. But it's very interesting, and they do explain it really well. And I was like, oh, that's really clever. Like, it makes a lot of sense because it's something you don't. Like, you know, if you just know a language, like if it's your first language, you don't think about things like that.
No.
It's only when you have to, whether that be maybe learning a new language or like something like this where I'm researching it for the purpose of understanding it, that like I would never have known enough about clipped consonants until today. But this is why we want to do this podcast.
This is the reason for Yapping Podcast. I was saying, isn't it? Stuff you wouldn't really maybe think about, but actually has pretty interesting kind of explanations or whatever. Like, I think that's cool. But this is cool.
Yeah, essentially the point of saying about the clipped consonants and saying about the, you know, loose versus lose sort of sound is that very often you get these voiceless sounds in this indie sort of like the like it's very like it's not a harsh sound. Yeah. And
it, like you say words and maybe don't. That's what you're saying about the consonants, wasn't it? Like maybe don't finish the. I can't think of a word now. Like.
I know what you mean.
Produce, but maybe they would say produce. But obviously, you can't really tell.
Your brain, a human brain's naturally like fit.
You fill in the
phrasing. Gaps. Yeah, you know what they're trying to say without having to know.
But actually, if you really think about it, it's like, wait, they didn't say the S
they didn't finish
sound at the end
there.
Yeah. Okay.
Precisely. But so those are kind of just like the sort of things that are you know that characterize this style, if you want to call it that.
Big definition, I suppose. Of
huge definition
of what it is.
But
which is cool.
When I was like first looking at this, before I sort of actually was like, hang on, let me get some definition stuff. I literally just sort of, within reason, Googled, like, you know, cursive singing, like, indie voice.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff came up. And, like, the biggest thing that I found really interesting was, like, I found, like, an essay, which was on this, like, site called Ace Linguist. And it's titled Dialect Dissection, Indie Voice / Cursive Singing. Ooh. But it was written in 2021, so it's really recent, which just shows you, like, how this, from the 2009 Twitter thing that I said about to now, like, how it's alive and well. Yeah. It's very much alive.
It feels like, well, I mean, I guess it's like everything, isn't it? Like, it's not really, like, I don't know, a joke or a meme at the time. Because when you're, at the time, you're in the moment, you don't really, like, you know, you haven't taken that step back. But now we're far enough away. And just, like, 2021... like of that saying specifically, not just indie but specifically cursive. That's really funny. Yeah. So
when I was looking into that, they discuss this idea a lot of like Americanized vowel sounds, which is what we already kind of talked about, and how a lot of those in this style of singing kind of dropped in favor of more British or Australian sounding ones.
Yeah.
I have something on here that's, even if it's not good audio, I have to show you it because it really, you hear it instantly. Like, knowing that kind of, like, anyone that kind of knows the sort of style better than the joking way that I've done it will know exactly what I mean. But they, like, the word ride, for example, I have, like, it's said here, and this is sort of the more Americanized way that you would expect to hear it in, say, a pop song. And then the Aussie sort of English one.
Yeah.
Let me get it to play.
I ride.
Like that, and then it kind of becomes like a... If it plays.
I ride.
Like, obviously that's very dramatic.
Instantly sounds a bit cursive, though.
Yeah, and obviously...
Maybe it's just Australian people.
Let's not go there.
No offense, Australian people.
But the interesting point is that, like, it's that change of the way that words are pronounced. So, like, yeah, that you have more of a different sound and therefore a different quality. But the thing I found interesting about that is not so much, like, we've already kind of established that the vowel sounds, consonant sounds and stuff are different, like, completely different in this style. But what I found interesting was there was sort of a discussion in it. Like, she gives on this, shout out Karen from Ace Linguist, gave out so many examples of, like, where you can find this sound in different songs from so many different artists. Like, she goes all the way, she goes between, like, Adele to, like, Halsey to, like, random people, like, people I've never even heard of. Like, all the way down to, like, Green Day songs that have this sort of sound in it.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So, you know, definitely if you're interested in this concept, like, read it. But I would be here all day if I played you all the examples.
It's kind of cool. I mean, I guess, yeah, because I guess from here, like, especially kind of knowing it more so from the direction of that it's a bit of a joke nowadays or whatever, it's interesting to think that obviously that joke came from somewhere. And, you know, you don't really think about it, but yeah, of course it came from somewhere, but it sounds like it's been, or it was very widespread rather than just like, oh, it was a bit of a joke. Because it wasn't a bit of a joke.
No,
it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was important. Like, it was a big part of, like, the sort of shift into the, like, 2010s of singing.
And it was also successful, right? I mean, it worked because it sounded
huge.
Good. Yeah, like, people liked it.
Like, in this sort of, I would consider it an essay. Like, the way it's written is very well formatted. There's, like, a discussion that the vocal style and choice came out of, like, 70s, potentially 70s English punk scene. And, like, the idea that, like, and quote, you didn't need to sand down the corners of your accent to fit into a corporate cosmopolitan box. And if you're going to speak the truth, everyone better be prepared to listen to it regardless of what accent it's delivered in.
That's good. That's a strong quote.
It's a strong quote, right?
It's cool. Yeah.
But it's kind of like, the reason I think that's interesting is because I've sort of said that it's very clear that the change from sort of Americanized sounds to more British or Australian-esque ones, like, mirrors that kind of... You don't have to know a lot about 70s, like, the 70s punk scene that came out of, like, the UK to know that kind of vibe. You know, people were starting to sing with their actual, like, sort of accents more than how you kind of expected. Like, people that made it big, that were, say, maybe English bands, were, up until that sort of point, mainly you would expect them to sing in an American accent, whether you were conscious of it or not. You expected to hear that. But yeah, like, I think personally that kind of explains the mainstream uptake in, like, indie or independent artists, and, like, using more traits of their original accents is kind of the point. And, like, you know, just generally, like, traits that became known as indie sounding ones were, like, maybe to sound more distinct in, like, that corporate sphere. Yeah. Because you see, like, you know, even though I said that the first sort of reference to cursive singing is 2009, like, Twitter post, you can't say for sure that that's kind of... I don't have... Origin. You know, that's what this person says, but I don't know, like, he might have had something that was tacked onto that Twitter post that was him singing, I don't know. So we'll never know if it sounded like that. He could have been referring to something completely different. But the point is that going into, like, the 2010s is when you sort of first see the style really, like, documented and gaining popularity in the way that we know it. And much of the 2010s music scene came out of the financial crisis of 2008.
Recession pop.
My point is...
I know this.
Yeah, it's the same way that 70s artists wanted to be different and wanted to be heard and impactful, so did people in the 2010s, because it was harder to break into that industry, because people might not necessarily want to, like, especially because we didn't have the internet quite to the extent that we have it now. It was sort of happening, and you could see people that have gained huge popularity and huge notoriety now from having started their career posting covers on YouTube. It was still not a way that people knew they could make it. And now obviously that massively dominates what you see. But the point is that during that time, you know, people potentially wanted to sound different, sound fun, sound quirky, because, you know, if you're like a music exec coming out of seeing a financial crisis, even if the music industry was booming at the time, if you're a music exec, you're not necessarily going to want to, like, put your money on some random person from, like, a little shitty town in the UK, like, not knowing if that's going to be lucrative. And I think, like, the point is that, you know, during this sort of time, you know, it's the same way that, like, art is a reflection of the time that it was made in. Like, people, whether trying to do things, say, politically or not, or anything like that, like, people make things based on what they are experiencing or what they see, even if it's just to distract from what they see, which is, like, the thing you said about recession pop. Recession pop is, like, kind of just, like, a term that's been coined for sort of the fun, dance-heavy pie music that was, like, really big and nostalgic of, like, the 2010s. You know, things like Kesha and, like, Katy Perry in the time, like, that, those were huge things. Like, a lot of people that were, like, really big during that time. Like, if you search, like, top 40s of 2010, like, you'll probably find, like, dozens of songs that are basically all the same sort of thing.
Not
but
a bad
I think,
way, but, like,
yeah,
it's just
like,
the vibe of that kind of time.
Yeah, like, that music was as an escapism to sort of, like, how crap and hard things were.
People want to be happy.
Yeah, coming out of that sort of era, I guess.
Yeah.
And, like, I think, you know, when I think of, like, indie, I often think of, like, the Tumblr era, like, the 2012 to 14 sort of Tumblr girl era. Like, I want to be so different. Like, you know, they're like, I want to say something profound, and they are speaking to me. And
Pinterest boards.
Yeah, like, I'm not judging. You know, we've all been there. We've all been there. I've listened to my fair share. But, like, yeah, the kind of idea that I think, like, in the same way that maybe in a different way that the 70s and, like, people in the 70s were, like, there was this sort of uptake in, you know, different sounds, and, you know, they wanted to make a point. They wanted to say something that was important and profound. I think you see that somewhat. I think it's more related to the fan base of these sort of songs than it is to the people who make them necessarily. But you see this sort of, like, hand-in-hand idea of the sort of quirky Tumblr girl aesthetic and the I'm so different, I don't listen to Kesha. And the kind of the way that you kind of see the mesh of this idea of, like, I'm so profound, I have something really important to say about the world. Yeah. With this sound. Like, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think it's, like, you know, a coincidence necessarily that those kind of sounds come hand in hand. especially when
Yeah.
you consider where the music scene was. Obviously, this is just talking about particularly like this style of indie music for a start. We're not even going into
Very specific.
the like R&B spheres or anything like that, because obviously I recognise that that's a whole different thing. But just putting very, very mainstream pop and indie sort of head to head.
Is that like the yin and yang of the 2010s? Session pop versus.
I mean,
indie
maybe I can't lie. I was how old were we in like
the duality. They go
Yeah.
together, but they're opposite. You know.
Yeah, sure. Like I would say so.
That's it. We've done. That's it.
Wow, we're so profound.
We've cracked it.
But yeah, I think like, I think sort of in the same way that you see people in the 70s not wanting to fit into that corporate shell, they change their vowel sounds, they change the phrasing of words and the style. This is mainly talking about the style of singing though. Like obviously the music itself is a whole other sphere, but that's more just a concept of indie music rather than indie singing. But I think it's very easy to sort of see it as a sign of like rebellion to the things that are happening in the current world at that time.
Yeah.
And people started, I think, doing it more because they saw the success in the style.
Yeah.
My favourite example is like Lord, the singer Lord. I am Lord, yeah. It was using that.
My favourite artist.
Was using that sort of style of singing like circa to 2012. Like I don't know when her first song released, but in 2013 she had her debut album and it was really, really successful. And then you sort of perfectly see like so many people, that's like dead in the middle of the era that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And suddenly, she's on like the Hunger Games like soundtracks, which was a huge movie of the time. And you see people having success with this like, style of singing. And I think that's why you start to see like people adopting it, and it becomes like more and more like mainstream pop. So the line between what is actually indie or like an independent artist is now a curated image.
Yeah.
And that's how it becomes into the pop scene. Yeah,
that also then execs are like, this thing is like hot at the minute.
Could you sound more like this?
Yeah, so if people are doing that thing, I guess like you say about,
it's branding, I suppose.
Yeah, like I guess it's probably equal parts of like you're saying about people almost like the sense of rebellion or like the sense of being themselves and like saying things how they would say things. I guess it's probably, I can imagine at least equal parts that and equal parts that was popular, and therefore the labels and everything were after that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the style of singing obviously like became popular enough to spark people calling out so many artists for sounding the same. So it's kind of that thing of like, that's why it became a joke. So contrary to sticking out, which not just me, but a lot of the things I read, like people believe that's potentially a reason why the indie sound crept into existence to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
Like adopting the indie voice at this sort of stage, sort of 2014 to 15, etc., means that the singer is attempting to like fit in with this like new crop of singers as a way of sort of garnering an audience or attracting an audience because they love that sound whether they're aware of it or not. So, new artists might absorb that sound, as a way of fitting into that mold. And I feel like the reason why it's still so prevalent today and so popular today, if you will, so it's that idea of like, if you're a new artist wanting to break into the mainstream, well, what's still viral? Like the idea that any publicity is good publicity, the amount of TikTok jokes that are made about indie singing, regardless of whether it's making a joke or not, it's
making money.
It's still making money, because if you see that and you go, I'm going to make a TikTok-esque song that's in that indie style, and then you decide to make more serious indie music, that's obviously like, it's going to make its way onto those kind of playlists, and people are going to start to like it, whether they kind of realise. On the topic of saying about TikTok, I found like a quote from the Suffolk Journal, of all places, which says that 84% of music produced that made it into the global top 200 list was linked to TikTok trends.
Oh, wait, since when?
That was, I can find it again. Obviously take it with a tiny pinch of salt, because obviously I'm taking it from one journal rather than finding the source of the...
I mean, obviously, like, you know, you expect it to be high.
Oh, it was posted April 1st, 2025.
April Fools. Yeah, that I mean, obviously that's insanely high, but it makes complete sense, right? Like you expect that to be high, and like you're saying about like labels and execs and stuff like this, like when in the past they were looking for something distinct, and obviously you know you always look for something they would look for something that's safe but different enough while still being safe, like stands out but isn't too crazy that no one's gonna buy into it. Obviously that's still true, but now it's more so about, you know, you hear stories of like labels dropping bands or like not picking up bands because they don't have a certain number of followers, or like their TikTok account, or they don't have an account, or like it's they don't have as many.
Well, I mean, it falls into like things that aren't just the pop sphere of music, you know. Again, going back to like theatre and like live performance, there's this sort of thing, whether it's like particularly like obvious or not, or whether we're aware of it like closely or not, but like, you know, people are often feeling like they're being pushed out by said person who might not even be right for the role, getting it because they've got however many followers on however many social media sites, you know. It's the same thing that you're talking about, like you know, people, I think so much of music and stuff, like music execs specifically, and like casting directors, all these sort of people that are in charge of these things, they're more willing to take up someone who already has a fan base to draw in money. Because if you're taking up someone who, you know, no one's going to take up this podcast for, like, no one's going to want to sponsor our podcast that, like, currently isn't even anywhere. Like, no one's listened to it.
Currently hasn't had the first episode air because
Precisely.
we're recording it.
That's crazy.
But, like, it does, like you're saying about the billboard as well, like, it makes sense because that's, like, obviously everywhere's always going to go in the direction of money. And especially if things like, you know, theatre, live performance is struggling, and things like this are struggling, and the music industry is struggling, of course people are going to chase money even more than they already would. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not to say it's a bad thing, but if it's to the detriment of the art, I think it's a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because obviously, like, you need everyone needs money, and that's always what's going to be chased. But it just kind of, I think that's the point. It just kind of sucks to see if something's been like almost hindered creatively because of the pursuit or the struggle for money. That just kind of sucks. You don't want to see that.
That's kind of why I think it's partly why we don't see this style going anywhere. Same as other styles. Like, despite its ridicule that it's gotten over years and years and years. Like, I feel like this joke has like rumbled on for so long. But despite all of that, it's still such a popular, you know, so many new artists, so many pre-existing artists, like, are, like, loved and have this kind of, like, fan base around the fact they have that sound, and that's fine. Yeah. I'm really not judging. But...
Oh, no, I mean, well, it should probably be said, it's nothing against that kind of particular style, nor is it in music in general or anything like this. I mean, we both listen to a lot of different music.
We do. I don't listen to any music. I sit in a dark, silent room.
I don't know what
I stare at the wall and I talk to no one. Thank you very much.
What you do in your free time is up to you, but it's fine. But no, yeah, it's not a judgment because obviously, you know, it's good, it's fine, everyone does it kind of thing. And even, obviously, it's not to the extent of the stereotypical joke, which is the cursive singing. But I think there's always going to be a little bit of, like, manipulating your accent or the way you say words or things, even if it's just purely for the sake of, like, technique, like we said at the start, of, like, what's easier, what's more successful, of a way to sing something. Like, there's always going to be an element of that, no matter what. Yeah. Obviously, even if it's just not to the extent of the joke, which is indie cursive, but that's that.
But that's the thing, like, even, you know, we're not judging this style of singing.
No.
You know, you can not like something or you can like something. Like, that's absolutely fine. But I think it's just the fact that this style of singing has become such a huge joke, and yet it's such a huge part of, like, pop music. And actually, to be fair, upon looking into this, it's not even just a big part of pop music anymore. It's a big part of, like, a lot of genres of music. Like, there's, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but yeah, you see, like, a lot of these kind of vocal techniques. Like there's a Reddit post from 2018 that talks about SZA and jokes that she sings in hieroglyphics and italics. And
similar vibe.
Yeah, like, you know, and SZA, while she is a pop icon nowadays, she's still kind of like, you know, straddles that line between maybe like, I don't know SZA's music very well, but sort of that like rap R&B sphere and also like pop music too.
Yeah,
from what I know,
that's probably
I don't know her music that well,
no,
so
I don't massively either, but I'd say that's a pretty good.
But the point is, I think
summary.
the sort of people that you think of when you think of indie music aren't necessarily someone like SZA and her style. You know, and it's like that, like, it's just the fact that I just randomly have this like Reddit post, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's just
almost coincidence. Like,
it's just interesting.
Thing,
like, it's kind of the style. It's become a style. It's not. It's like a joke, but also it's a style that has like ups and downs, and you know, you can overuse it, you can underuse it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
It's a technique now.
That makes sense.
It's taken on a bit of a life of its own. Shall we have a brew break?
Ooh, I forgot about brew break. We should have a brew break. Let's do that.
Brew break.
Brew break. Nice. We've had to address this camera directly. We've had a technical issue. This camera here, my camera,
The least important of all the cameras.
was not recording. It's very disappointing. Really bad performance for the first episode, and it's probably
sign of things to come.
exactly a sign of things to come. Let's hope not.
Menace.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know, I said menace because
I forgot it's hot.
Harry often refers to me as a menace with drinks because I very rarely can sip anything without spilling it.
Yes.
Now you're in on our joke.
I would probably place a bet on the fact that you're going to spill a drink. At one of these points of recording this, not this specific episode, but at some point, that drink is going to go, not everywhere, but it's just gonna be a little
somewhere.
spill. And I'm going to say the word menace to you. And now everyone knows why I call you a menace. Because you're a menace with hot drinks.
A menace
They
to society.
always spill. Always.
Yeah, they do always spill, to be fair.
Always.
I'll give you that.
But
In fairness,
that's the
though,
joke.
you filled up my glass of water. We went to get ice creams yesterday, okay? Because we're adults and we can do what we want. And we went to get ice creams at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And you filled up my water glass all the way to the top and I didn't notice. And I put it over to myself and it's only as like I noticed my hand was wet that I spilled it everywhere. And Harry was like, "You're a menace." I'm like,
menace.
No. You set me up for failure. That's different.
That still makes you a menace, though.
That does not make me a menace.
You didn't realise you spilled it
I'm
until
gonna put a
too
poll.
late.
I'm gonna work out how to put a poll on this video.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Do I look like I know?
Oh dear. Brew break?
Brew break.
Where were
The
we at?
BB.
The BB. Where were we at with cursive indie singing?
Well, we were just kind of to where we are today, and to say my favourite quote that I found once again.
Oh wow.
The 84% of music produced that made it onto the global top 200 list was linked to TikTok trends.
Double down on that.
It relates to what
Quote so good you say it twice.
It's a good quote. Relates to what I was going to say next though, which is I kind of thought about that and thought about like, I guess the general question, why don't we see this like going anywhere?
Yeah.
And I guess you could sort of say this about a lot of things like styles that get adopted into mainstream and a lot of people try and replicate it after said moment.
Yeah.
But I kind of looked into like the psychology of it. And again, I am not a psychologist, nor do I have a degree in psychology. So if you would like
Disclaimer.
to know specifically about this, you're in the wrong place.
Consult
Your local psychologist.
Do you consult Not really, do you?
I don't know.
No.
But
the point remains.
Basically, I sort of went down a bit of a rabbit hole there, and I found the concept of mere exposure effect, which is like a psychological, like it's just known in psychology as like a thing that happens. I found it on a website called Simply Psychology, but it had a lot of basically like journal entries. Like anyone that's ever had to Harvard reference anything in their lives will know it's a very Harvard referenceable place, very reputable source.
Brilliant.
But also it was reviewed by someone else as well. Like it seems pretty legit. Saying that from the perspective of obviously I don't know a lot about psychology, so I was trying to use my my essay skills to make sure I was getting something that was at least somewhat reliable and also in date, because it was written and updated on the 10th of October 2023, so it is quite recent.
Great.
But essentially, it's defined the mere exposure effect. Is defined as a cognitive bias where individuals show a preference for things they're more familiar with. Repeated exposure to a stimulus increases liking and familiarity, even without conscious recognition.
So, I get you. So therefore, TikTok. I mean, I get that makes logical sense, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it's proved psychology.
But that's kind of why I wanted to double down on the quote that I said earlier, because essentially the more we encounter something, the more we tend to prefer it based on familiarity alone.
Makes sense.
So you know, it's that thing where like people, like an argument could be made that people stick with this style so much because they see it so often, and therefore they hear something and they're like, oh, that sounds like said artist that I like, so I'm going to invest my time into them, rather than maybe fall down a rabbit hole of looking into something that maybe they don't actively listen to that often. It's the same way that, like, despite you might not like something that's popular on the radio, but you hear it so often, like, especially with, like, TikTok and things like that, like, you'll hear...
get stuck in your head.
Yeah, like, you might not necessarily have liked or like the song, but you hear it so much that you're like, actually, I think I'm starting to like that song, or like, even just then you're like, you crave to listen to it because it's an earworm in your brain.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can be a good and, like, bad thing, like, in psychology, because obviously we, as humans, have this weird tendency to go back to something that we're familiar with, despite whether it's great or bad or anything in between. But I think it can be said that that's probably why, we see, like, this constant, like, going back to the same sort of vibes. Yeah.
Makes sense. And I guess that's kind of the whole thing with TikTok, isn't it? Like, you hear loops of things, and that like you said about that quote, like, it almost, like, obviously it's interesting to hear that as, like, a fact and as a quote and as a even psychologically, like you said, but it's almost like just of course, because it's what's happening, it's what you see, it's literally what happens on the day to day. Like, you get something stuck in your head, or like you're reading something on TikTok and the sound loops like 8 times.
It's like taking it in by osmosis.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're like, you don't even realise.
That song, where have I heard that?
You don't
Probably
even realise,
some like TikTok video about someone like cleaning their drawers.
Exactly, yeah. You don't even realise, and then the next second, like, you're Sabrina Carpenter's biggest fan. Like,
oh, yeah.
It happens.
I mean, a good example is where I work playing so much Taylor Swift.
You now love
I
Taylor
now
Swift.
know her entire discography, so no Swifties come for me, because I could probably tell you line 7 of some obscure song you've never even heard of.
Exactly. So you went from just kind of being impartial on Taylor Swift. You're the biggest. You tell me all the time how much
I love Taylor Swift.
Oh my god, you love her so much. Just because they play it all the time at work.
At said place that I work. At
undisclosed, redacted place you work.
Redacted. That's good. Insert name here, place that you work. But yeah, so I feel like it does need to be said though. Like, obviously, I'm very much taking the summary of what this effect in psychology is. And there is like so much about it that you can really like divulge into. And as I say, this particular site and like journal thing that I found is very like detailed and very descriptive. But one thing from it that I do feel needs to be said is that they do say that this effect is more likely to happen when individuals have no pre-existing negative attitude towards the stimulus, and tend to be strongest when they are not aware of the stimulus presented to them. So
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
we kind of already touched on it with the joke about it kind of being like osmosis.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware of it, and
more likely,
you're more
to
likely
happen.
to wanna
Mm.
like that thing because of familiarity, because
That-
you're not aware
yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
But if the stimulus is like, I don't know.
You hate Taylor Swift.
Yeah, if the stimulus is Taylor Swift and you already hate Taylor Swift,
You're gonna
You're
struggle to.
yeah, you're not like. Well, I guess you're less likely. I guess it can still happen.
It can
though,
still
right?
happen. It's just a lot less likely. Like it's more likely to happen to someone who already maybe likes some of. We're using Taylor Swift, but you like already like some of her
Neutral
songs,
to Taylor
or
Swift.
is neutral, like in some regard. But if you really hate
Yeah.
them, then it's less likely to like. It might get stuck in your head, but it's not so much you're gonna be like
No.
gravitating towards that or like people that sound similar.
Not gonna change your mind overnight, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the point. That's kind of like, I think my biggest point that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think about that generally? Like,
It's really cool. I think the stuff about kind of where we're at now in that kind of whole world of things. Do you know what I mean? Of like how like I guess it's kind of almost maybe a separate point, but about like, you know, TikTok and TikTokification of music, all this kind of thing, and also the thing with accents and pronunciation. It's got a lot in common with each other, I feel.
yeah,
But maybe for different reasons. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to think about though, and that's really cool. Like the stuff you found out about it. Yeah, not stuff that I would really, have thought to think about or to look into.
yeah. Like I really found that it was super. Like the more I looked into it, the more interesting I found it.
The deeper the rabbit hole.
Yeah, like it was.
went,
It
I
was
imagine.
actually like I thought it was just gonna be like silly, like funny. But like yeah, the more I kind of realized these like sounds and sort of the second that it clicked to me that the vowel sounds in this style of singing are very like British. And to be fair, a lot of the artists that are referenced as like early indie singers are Australian or from New Zealand or like from the UK. Like a lot of people, you know, the Adeles, the Lords. Lord is I think from New Zealand.
I Am Lord, yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of other examples, but like a few of them are, you know, obviously American. It's not a cut and dry thing, but I think it's just interesting to note that like that's kind of where I started to see that comparison to the sort of like I've already said, the sort of 70s like English punk scene vibe, like the idea of utilizing your natural spoken vowel and consonant sounds and etc all that kind of stuff. And I really just fell down that rabbit hole after all of that because I just found it so fascinating that that you don't really think of it like that. You don't think of it as British singing. You don't think of it as Australian singing. It's its own thing. It's cursive singing.
Cursive. It's indie
It's
cursive.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Speaking in italics.
That's super interesting. Yeah, it's because it's like I said earlier. Like, obviously this kind of stuff has a origin, but yeah, unless you look into it, you wouldn't really know. It's just kind of its own thing. It's kind of a joke. But yeah, it's really cool to think that it actually did come from a place, and that place kind of being UK, kind of being.
Everyone is slamming their doors in our like hallway. I do not know what people got to be slamming doors about, but
they don't like me talking, man. I mean, come on.
They don't like you talking. The camera doesn't want you to talk. The doors don't want you to talk.
My camera wasn't even
Everyone's
working.
like, shut up.
I'll get back in my box.
Get back in your little box. That's right. Go back to where you belong.
Simmer down, would you? Come on.
Oh yeah, you're so loud and so boisterous and really just have a lot to say. Very passionate.
I am.
Individual. Gonna make you
Incredibly.
simmer down.
Yeah, God, I'm usually so high energy, but.
But yeah, sorry. What were you saying about?
I can't remember.
I'm so sorry.
No, it was.
Put you back in your
It was
box.
the people outside.
They were just really like.
Yeah.
They were. I swear, people are just walking in and out of their flats.
Everyone
over and
is
again.
against the pod.
They really just want us to shut up.
Oh.
I've found it very interesting. Like, I think this, I guess, conclusionary thoughts about how this has gone, generally.
Yeah.
I think that I found it really interesting. Like, I wasn't sure saying I wasn't sure makes it sound like I didn't want to do this. I wasn't sure going into this, like, how I was going to find, like, obviously I like to yap, I like to talk,
I coerced you into this. You didn't want to be here right now.
That's why I'm putting you back in your box. That's why no one wants to hear you speak.
There's a gun under the table.
But yeah, I was unsure, like, how, despite, like, liking to talk and things like that, like, I didn't know how much I would feel boxed in by the idea of almost picking, like, an essay topic. Like...
Pick a theme.
Yeah, pick a theme and then just, like, run with it. And, like, obviously, you know, you never really know, because if you pick a theme and you Google it and, like, nothing comes up that's useful, like, obviously then you're like, great. It's going to be impossible. But I quite literally, like, I sat down here. You started writing ideas for your stuff long before I did. And then I sort of sat down. I literally sat down yesterday.
You really fell into the rabbit hole of it.
Really just sat here and I was like, let's start writing. And then I just powered through. I, like, banged all this out in such a short amount of time because I found it genuinely so interesting and there was so much to unpack. And I found it really fun doing that, and then, you know, discussing it with you, like, I think went so much more smoothly than I was even anticipating. Just generally.
No, I know. I mean, it's just nice. It's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice to chat. It's nice to have a cup of tea. It is interesting though, like you said about falling down the rabbit hole, because the fact the rabbit hole is there, I guess not only proves that it's something that has a lot of depth to be talked about, to be analysed, because obviously it does if it's there, but also has enough interest surrounding it so that people have done that research. People, you know what I mean? So I think that's cool. It proves that it's something that is a lot to talk about. So yeah, which there was, because we talked about it
for a long time.
For a little while.
Not sure how long it'll be if we cut things out, but it was a while.
Oh, that's true. Maybe we should say half an hour in case we like cut a huge amount out. We cut out all the horrific things that Deavion said.
No,
earlier.
just gonna
my
cut
God,
out all of
Jesus.
the things that you said.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Well, we already don't have your camera, so...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Would you like to address it so that you can have your moment in the sun?
Nah, I'm okay. I'm alright.
How profound of
I'm
you.
good, yeah. I don't need it. I've broken free of my chains.
Wow, you're soaring, you're flying.
Video.
There is not a star in heaven that you can't reach.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Was that an
It's
indie?
my slam poetry.
Was that an indie song?
That was, yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's by Gabriella and Troy. Do you know them?
No,
Yeah, this is really this up and coming indie artist. You should really check them out.
Indie duo.
Indie duo, yeah.
They were really big in the... When was that film released? Like 2000 and I want to say 6?
Stop it. It is 2006.
Is that actually?
Yeah, well done. I give you that. That was...
Now I've just outed myself. Either I'm incredibly lucky or I've outed myself
You're
as the
breaking
biggest
free.
fan.
That's what we're learning here.
That's crazy.
That's
Wow.
so funny.
Good guess.
I was actually searching it as you were saying it. That's so funny.
Got on good.
Yeah, I feel like we've come to a natural conclusion then with everything, unless you've got any questions.
Well, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below is all I'm saying, you know.
Oh yeah, that is true. And for everyone that does know us, I look forward to hearing what you think about the fact that none of you had any idea we were going to do this.
Podcast dropped. I mean, yeah.
The podcast is well and truly dropped.
No, it was fun. It was fun sitting down and having a chat about stuff. I'm excited to do more.
It's going to be you
Talk
next
about more
time.
things. Yeah, we'll see. Tune in next time. See what I've got to yap about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've started planning it, so
Yep.
we will be there soon. So you can't back out now. That's why I say that.
Sneak preview. It's not similar really. Actually, that's not exactly. I was gonna say it's sneak preview. It's not similar at all.
Wow, that's such a
Wow.
sneak preview for everyone that got to the end of this
So it
podcast. They're
tells
gonna
you
be
so much.
they're gonna know so much about they're gonna feel so in the loop.
Oh yeah. They're in my brain right now. No, it's not very similar, but it is.
It is music
to do
related,
with
I guess.
music,
Yeah.
To do music, to the sound. So should be fun.
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank
you for yapping with me.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for yapping with me. It was good.
Thanks a bunch.
Thanks a bunch. I forgot
Oh, that was
that was the name.
good.